Very good morning. Welcome. It is Tuesday, the 13th of May. We had a monster rally yesterday. Did you enjoy that one, Tom Roberts?
I did indeed. Good morning, Rich. How are you?
You're very well tanned.
That's watching cricket most of the time.
Right.
I have two teenage boys, so I seem to spend my life watching cricket.
Who did they play for?
School and club, but
Very good.
one is morning, one is afternoon. So basically your whole day is spent. And my wife works Saturdays, so Muggins here has to
Taxi driver.
has to taxi and watch cricket, basically, which isn't a bad life, to be fair.
Yeah. Good. Excellent. Right, let's have a look at what's coming up on today's show. We've got some very interesting, we've got a new guest for you as well. So Tom Roberts joining us through till Fast Markets on 8:35. Matt Arbour coming in live from the trade desk with Angeline. And then we go into the second half of the show, and I am very excited. We've got Dylan Rattigan. Now, Dylan and I have to have a chat as well because Tony Batista was ganging up on us last night on Tasty. So, Batista, we're coming for you. Dylan and I are going to hatch a plan today, and there's going to be some payback. And then at 9:35, my good friend Hugo Ward, the man who first got me into this business, the reason I am standing here today, Hugo is coming to talk about his investing journey. So Hugo has been in the industry for a good 10 years and has been in marketing and such like for 20 years. So we're going to have a great chat at 9:35. He's going to talk about all his investing, pensions, and ISAs. So that's us. I think, Andrew McKelvey, exactly. Great day for Nike at last. I tell you what, let's go straight into, before IG wipe it off their trading system, let's go into to look at the big movers on yesterday. Because it is quite a sight to see. Tom Roberts, look at that. Take us through what stands out to you on those.
Amazon, Nike, Uber having a great lift there. They didn't do too badly, but the one that surprised me as well also was a decent move in Tesla, which has obviously had some tough times of late. But all the usual names there, the big names, Apple, Airbnb coming up as well, and Nvidia obviously over 5% as well. So it's a very good rally there. But as Andrew said, good uplift for Nike there, 7%.
That was very welcome, very, very welcome. I feel like it was down 17% on the 3rd of April. So this at last feels like I was getting paid back a little bit from some of those losses, because that was not a pretty day in my Tasty account.
Remind me, we haven't spoken for a while. Where are you on Nike? Are you still long? Have you got options? Have you got stock? What are you doing?
Yeah, so short, I have stock in the ISA, and I'm short puts at the 67, 65 and 60 level.
Okay.
And I had some 57.5 calls. So they've paid out. I took the money on those yesterday. But generally, the thinking is that he kitchen sinked the numbers a little bit on the last set, but things have obviously got worse since because of what's been going on. So I think it's gonna be a struggle for him in this set of numbers to actually give, much positive. But after that, I see positive catalysts coming up. I think he's got to do a strategy day. I think he's got to set out what his, Elliott Hill's print on Nike is going to be. I think he could sell Converse.
Yep.
Maybe take in $2 billion for that.
You mentioned that before, yeah.
Yeah. So I just start to.
So you're looking at December numbers rather than the next set of numbers, which is
October being the very first set where you actually get decent. But then the price gave us an opportunity to get in, right? So it dropped down to $53. Yeah. So it was too early for me, but when you get an opportunity like $53, then I think you've got to take that. So, right, I tell you what, let's go into overnight action. We'll look at the economic calendar coming up today. It's a big day. Good morning to all you wonderful people. We have Boise's in here with the sunshine and the sunglasses. Looks like I might not be the only one with the tan, along with Tom Roberts. Boise out in the sun yesterday, clearly. Gavin Ackers is sticking the shrimps on the barbecue. Steve Davies, good morning. Parkey's in the house. Avi Fine. So Avi came in to visit us last week. Came in to see Pete Ward and I. Almost forgot Pete's name.
How could you do that?
He was sitting where you were yesterday.
He was.
Very forgettable face. So yeah, Avi, great to see you in the chat. Away from the numbers, it as well. Away from the numbers, let us know how you're doing. We haven't had a portfolio update. I know you had a bit of a roller coaster on the last month. And Maturin checking in from Valencia. So we got the full house. And Napster in the house. Here he is. Mark, the one and only. He had the pleasure of lunch with Pete Ward last week.
Yep, so I hear.
So Napster, let us know how Pete's chat was, because he put me to sleep. He put me to sleep on the train back home from Chester on Friday. Jeez. Right. So let's look at that economic calendar, because we've already had UK unemployment data, and it's a big day in the US as well. So that's right. It came out at 4.5%. We'll take a look at the numbers a little bit closer in a second. But, yeah, take us through what you're expecting from CPI today, Thomas.
Yes, so 2.4 on the inflation rate estimated. I think the numbers should be in line. We'll wait and see on that. Sorry, I'm just having a quick look as well. Core inflation 2.8. So numbers should be in line. I'm just having a quick look here at these UK numbers.
Okay, sure. Well, let's go across to that then. Let's go across to the
Beecham saying they're a little bit weaker than he thought. Just trying to delve into the detail a little bit more on that.
I did think the same when I glanced across them. That employment change coming in at 112.
Yeah. So 112 on the employment change. People can see that against the 206. It looks like for March. This is, bear in mind.
Yeah.
So that does look weaker than possibly people were expecting on this as well.
And then, so this is the expectations on the right-hand side. So 5.2 was the expectation for average earnings, including bonus. And then average earnings, excluding bonus, you can see has actually come in lower than expected. So clearly, they're including your bonus there, Tom.
They are. They are indeed. Yeah, I think first glance, as Beecham said this morning on desk, a little bit weaker than we thought.
Yeah.
Don't think that's overtly affected the FTSE too much. FTSE's hardly moved, actually, to be honest, since the numbers came out, down about 11 points.
Currency's interesting as well, because the currencies are sitting at 130. Yeah, 130. We just touched 132 on that employment data, but you can see now 130, 190. Interesting where the yen is back up to.
So dollar yen basically 148 now.
Yeah.
But quite a strong evening. I don't know if you saw in Japan last night.
Right.
There was a good push up. Japanese stocks basically led the gains around the Asian region last night. TopX was up for almost 2 weeks in a row now, 13th consecutive day.
Of course, because they didn't have the announcement when they closed yesterday.
Correct. And so a lot of the pharma stocks have rallied again in Japan on the back of that drugs tariff news. Australia and Taiwan also rose. Hang Seng was pretty much on a par with where it was the day before. Treasuries edged a bit higher as well in overnight trading. Dollar weakened off a little bit, but Japan was the surprise move. As you can see, there was a good push up last night as well.
Yeah. Good. And just run us through that farm news then. Let me see if that made the FT this morning. So not quite as bad as expected. I saw Astros actually up on the day at one point.
Yes. So the farmer news basically has come through. Japan and Asia's pharmaceuticals on Monday got hit quite a bit. Then the news came out. They've then rallied again. We've also got a timely update from Bayer in Germany today as well. So we'll wait and see on that.
I've just seen in the chat there a very welcome name. Jamie White has said, hello, Richie Rich. Now, Jamie and I used to sit next to each other in South Africa in the Credit Suisse building. And so Jamie and I were in the trading team together. So it is fantastic. Welcome. First time to the show. Now works for a hedge fund down in South Africa. So we've got a new South African expert there. Any questions that we need answered in those stocks. Jamie, tell us what's going on down there. I haven't looked. How is that South African rand as well? So yeah, great to have you on.
Sounds like you need to do a road show and go down to South Africa, maybe across to Asia.
Do you want to join me?
I'm more than happy to. That would be fantastic.
Right, let's. I tell you what. Let's have a look at the FT and see if there's anything interesting in there. We've got the first story is a little bit of the. Of course, we saw cocaine gate happen with Macron, didn't we? On that train. But yeah, the EU really standing firm and saying, right, if Putin doesn't come to the table on the peace agreements, then they want Trump to agree to slam some huge tariffs on, sanctions, sorry.
Economic sanctions, yeah. In response to, obviously, the war in Ukraine, if the truce isn't held or isn't agreed to, then they really want to push that. And they're prepared to use, obviously, capital controls, tariffs, sanctions overall. Let's have a quick look here. 200 billion, is it? 200 billion in frozen Russian state assets is what's being held at the moment.
They want to get their hands on that, don't they?
Exactly. I haven't read this article properly, but it looks like they want to take a much stronger stance.
Yeah. So yeah, very much one to watch there. And
but on that point, do you think Putin is going to come to the table?
well, it sounds like we could have Zelensky, Putin, and Trump all around the table in Istanbul in the coming week, which would be really interesting. Of course, Trump just touching down in Riyadh.
Yep.
To collect his new plane.
To collect his $400 million jet.
He was asked yesterday, straight up in a press conference, sir, do you think there are any conflicts of interest in you accepting a $400 million aeroplane from a country in the Middle East? I'd be stupid not to. If somebody offers you such an incredible gift, why would you say no?
I mean,
we have to sign off for more than £100 on a dinner for clients for the last 14 years. But why would you say no to?
I mean, if you employed at RBS in 2009, you had to declare a slice of pizza. So, I mean, don't worry about declaring a $400 million jet that costs $100 million to run, that he can keep at the end of it. And by the way, they'll probably spend an inordinate amount of money checking out that everything is safe and legit on the plane, let's call it.
Yeah. Guys, I can imagine the sweeping of the
sweeping will be unbelievable.
There we go. There's a good poll for the morning. That's Angeline's come up with that one herself. So yeah, is accepting a plane a bribe?
But you know, jokes apart, this may rumble on a little bit if he, you know, if things get a bit messy in domestic politics in the US. This will be kept on being raised.
If it
Why
was
did
in
you
the
accept
UK,
it?
It would. I think he is a complete law unto himself. He does not care.
He doesn't care, and he has a swathe of people that don't care.
Yeah.
But if things turn difficult or even messy, the Democrats will just keep bringing this up and up and up.
I mean, this is, Rachel Reeves took her daughter to the O2 to see, was it Taylor Swift?
That's a very good point, yes.
Right? And she got
£400 worth of tickets.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And because her security had to be around her, unsurprisingly.
But the principle's the same. I mean, the principle is the same, and then you get given a jet that you can just use and then keep.
Yeah,
that's what I don't quite understand.
Yeah, he did deny that he would keep it. To be fair,
well, he'll lease it back to them and get an income.
Yeah, that's exactly what he'll do.
That's what he'll do.
But let's be fair. We're not the BBC here,
no.
So we don't have to be. But you Americans that tune in, we know you don't like us ganging up on him. So, although he was looking especially orange yesterday.
We dole out trillions in foreign aid. Why not take a plane?
Why not take a plane? Yeah. But and the trillions in foreign aid, when you call it aid, remember that's AID. It's not aid. It's actually CIA money.
Yes.
Which came out last week as well, which was really interesting, is that foreign aid it's not even called aid, it's called foreign AID, and it's actually CIA. But in fairness to Trump, Air Force One is 40 years old.
Yeah.
At least that's what he told everybody. So we need a fact check on that. It might even be over 40 years. So we need a bit of fact check. But good article from the FT there. So let's have a look at what is happening in the Times. Now, the Times very interesting this morning. Let's see if there's any good stories there. Can you see any good stories? Some stories are so good that they actually publish them twice, Tom. And I'm talking about the Thames water there. But yes. There's a story there we can't cover, but we can take a look at the picture.
We can.
And I think we need to know, what is Axel trading there on this picture in the Times this morning? It's just a minor retracement. Very good. What do you think that is? 7533. I know what I think it is, but I don't remember it trading at 7533.
FTSE?
It must be. It looks like the FTSE pattern last year.
It must be a stock image from a while ago.
No, it's February 25.
I don't remember that.
Maybe it's where he thought it was going.
Yes. Maybe he was predicting that.
Axel, let us know. The star of the Times today. Let us know what you were trading there.
Rich, I've got through a few opening calls as well, just to let you know. UK FTSE 100, DCC, they're being called down 2%. Full year results a little bit below expected. Entain unchanged, raised to buy at UBS, and Barclays raised as well at Chevro to 410.
Barclays raised to 410, and remind us where we are now on Barclays.
Barclays currently, bear with.
Are we at 3?
Bit 320.
313.
Yeah. Okay,
so 410.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So pound on where we are now. And then a bit quieter in the UK for our viewers out there today with results, but a few small caps out there as well. Probably the main one being Marsden's, the pub group, being called up 2%. Their first half revenue was good at 430 million. And they say that the good weather has helped as well. So looking forward to summer sales being up as well.
We're just getting breaking news from the FT saying that a man has been arrested after a fire at the Prime Minister's house.
2 fires.
2 fires.
It was called a suspicious terrorist alert last night. There was a fire at his Kentish Town residence where he obviously used to live before Downing Street. That's now rented out. He also has an investment property down the road in Islington, and there was a fire there as well. So I know the police are looking at that this morning. I saw that.
Right.
Saw that earlier.
Great.
Whether that's terrorist activity or not, but someone's in trouble this morning on the back of that.
Yeah. Yeah, not ideal. Right, Luke Moore just dropping into the chat that there's something going on in the CAC. So let's have a look at... sorry, he's saying that Axel was trading the CAC. Got you, Luke Moore. Thought there was something going on there. Some action like we had this time yesterday.
A name that gets bandied around quite a lot, we don't see a huge amount of trading in it here, but over in Japan is SoftBank, who have had some numbers today.
Oh, they're out, are they?
SoftBank full year net income 1.15 trillion yen versus 710 billion yen. So better than expected on net income. That obviously might read across to some of the tech stocks as well in the US.
Right, Eric Jones has got the answer for us on Air Force One. It's been flying for 35 years. That's incredible, isn't it? I mean, it is quite embarrassing when you put Air Force One next to some of the, Qatari government planes, the Saudis. So there is a point that it's
40 years since started manufacturing, but there's two jets running it. Two identical jets.
So do they fly everywhere together just in case, so they don't know which one to attack? Right, we're going to go to a break in a minute. We'll do a quick few minutes there. Let's take a look at the futures before we go, because you're getting a little bit of a retracement in the S&P. It got looped up into the close last night. I was still short some calls, and I thought I was getting away with it. Largely, I did get away with things yesterday, I must admit. I came out a lot better than I was at 10 past 8 in the morning. 10 past 8, the P&L was looking a bit murky. But over the day, I traded quite a lot of zero DTEs just to try and get out of it.
Yep.
And it was working right until about 8:52 p.m. last night. And then, of course, they sent the futures into the stratosphere. I think we put on 60 or 70 points on the NASDAQ in the last 6 minutes.
10 minutes, yeah.
So that's been given back this morning. So NASDAQ, you're seeing down about 45 basis points there. The S&P 500 was at 5,816 when I woke up, now at 23. You're seeing the FTSE pretty much that struggled. That got up to 8,620 on the US close last night. Vol back up 1.2. Oil ducking lower. Oil was a very strong day yesterday, but coming back. And gold is actually having a bit of a surge, up 80 basis points.
Yeah, trying a bit of a rally gold on the back of the downturn recently. Obviously, 3.5 was the high, 3.4, and now back down to 32.60. And US crude, as you say, above 61.50 now, 61.70 trading.
Nice. Right, go put yourself a coffee on, or get the kettle on for a cuppa. Monkey Man is saying, Bitcoin is behaving like gold. The two of them were a bit opposite yesterday, weren't they? And this morning as well. So just do me a favor before you switch us off at the break when those adverts. I listened to the adverts last night. There's something wrong with the music. It's like tinny. So all you guys that have been mentioning about the music in the break, we'll get that looked at, because I looked at it last night and it was definitely not sounding right. So before that, give us a thumbs up, please, on the YouTube. If you don't subscribe, Jamie White, if you're still watching, if you don't subscribe, add a subscribe there to the YouTube, and we'll be back in 3 minutes. Join us.
5% up, turning 1.2 million into 60 million in one day. Sorry.
That was me. Good morning. We're just talking about some huge S&P calls that were bought last week at the 5,800 level. Go on, take us through that story.
Yeah, so Chris Beecham's just pointed out there's an X page or called Unusual Whales, saying it's clear now that there's some unusual trading going on. Take Friday for last week, right before the close. In the final minutes of the market, traders bought millions in SPY calls, SPY calls, the largest volume for quite a few days. These calls were all out of the money, expiring next Wednesday and Friday, so that's this week, Wednesday and Friday.
Yeah.
The 580 calls went 1,400%, turning 1.2 million into nearly 16 million in one day. The craziest thing, they exited all their positions this morning. Someone knew, they traded it beforehand. Insane. Now, obviously,
I don't think it is that insane because I had that trade on.
So this is obviously just hearsay, and it's from x.com, but it's the way they're making it sound sensational.
Yeah.
Having read through it, it doesn't sound that crazy.
Yeah, any hedge fund that is worried about the upside, would just buy that as an insurance policy. It's typical people looking for things that aren't there. Right, so we are ready. Tom Roberts, we've got the bell. Would you do the honours, please?
Is the bell working?
It is. Give it a good ring there. So that's it. 8 o'clock in the morning. We are.
There we are.
That's a proper ring. Right, there we go then. So opening up the London Stock Exchange for the 13th of May. Not quite as much action as yesterday, but you can see we've still got a few movers to the upside there. Not too many to speak of, but more on the downside. Just giving up a few of those gains from yesterday. The likes of the PRU, HSBC, so those Asian exposure, but the banks are down, Tom. That's five financials at the bottom of the leaderboard.
Yeah, they had a decent move yesterday. They might be giving a little bit back. Just waiting to see what they were uncrossing like. Surprising because the FTSE's unchanged. DAX is up 60 points this morning. FTSE looks pretty much flat.
Yeah. So
BP, where are they?
Yeah, BP down 60 basis points. That's in line with the move in oil.
Yeah.
Whitbread 28 quid. Bats below £31. So obviously a lot of the defensives in the US as well as here got carted yesterday, right? McDonald's had a really bad day yesterday. Basically where every trade where people have been hiding got a hiding yesterday. So gold, McDonald's, some of the defensives here as well, which makes sense. I mean, the FTSE overall was down on the day at one stage.
It was.
Which, thankfully that was a little bit too much. But we did say in the morning it was a bit of a trap.
I mean, Barclays have an upgrade, so I'm surprised they are negative at the moment. I thought they may have a bit of a push.
Winners on the day: Kingfisher at 1.7, Canal Plus still decent there, and then VOD's bit of no man's land, 69.5 pennies. Remember, we managed to get out of those at 72.7 last week. So well out Monkey Man. And remind me, somebody else was a seller there as well. And we've got, WH Smith around the £10 level. That's had a nice recovery. But yeah, it's a tricky morning, isn't it, to really find anything to get our teeth stuck into.
I know I mentioned it before, Rich. Bayer, Germany, up 4%, 25 euros and 4 cents trading. Closed last night, 24.06. Reason for that, viewers, is they had results this morning that at first glance looked better than expected.
Good.
I haven't got it in front of me, but off the top of my head, I think it was over 4 billion was the number, and it was expected at 3.7, so a better than expected number. But yeah, up 4% in early trading. Yeah, 4.1 billion euros was the Q1 EBITDA, 9% above expectation.
Right, let's see. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say Jeffries had come out with a comment as well saying farmer well ahead, crop ahead of lower expectations, and the stock is now the top of the DAX at the moment.
Yeah, now up 5. Just from Tom Roberts talking about it, it's gone up another 1.5%. Napster, are you still on the chat? Napster is my man in Bayer. He's had a position there for about 6 months. So he knows the story very well. Let us know. And yeah, the Monsanto. Let's see what the latest is there. Havas, there it is, up 3%, 148. Rheinmetall, the usual. Do we have any losers in Europe? Schneider down 2.4, the electrical company there. Total down 50 basis points, again in line with the oils.
Yeah.
And just sent me through, earnings continue to hit. Reinsurer Munich Re have both reported sharp declines in first quarter profit. And then Poland's biggest bank, PKO, posted a 21% year-on-year rise. We got an exciting day on Friday. I've just had confirmation that my old colleague from Credit Suisse, Scotty Byrne, is going to come and join us in the hot seat there. So a very good morning to Scotty. I know he watches, but we're going to get him in the hot seat here on Friday. And Arsik Sena asking Jamie White about a South African stock. So there you go, Jamie. You get your first question in there on Thungela Resources.
Like how your past colleagues are coming on and your friends, you know, we should get more viewers on here.
Yeah, that's the way, isn't it?
Yeah.
Get more viewers.
If anybody would like to come on, please do so. Come and have a tour of the office.
I think Boise's first one up for that.
Is he?
Boise, if you behave, Boise, you promise, then we'll get you in the hot seat here. And Maturin, we've got to get across from Valencia at some stage. So he's mentioned the Discord. So
Yep.
the Discord is past compliance. We've got the thumbs up there, and it is now with legal. So we're inches away from getting across the line on that.
Moving forward, traction is happening.
Traction is happening, yeah.
I've got to say, you might have seen it last night, but Coinbase had a big jump last night that someone gave me a call on this morning. For the viewers out there, their shares jumped on the back of them being included in the S&P 500 index, which is obviously huge because then certain funds have to buy them that have to then track the index. And I can't remember who they have replaced, but obviously they have replaced someone and their shares had a good push up there. So keep an eye in terms of the all sessions that opens at 9 o'clock here in London. Keep an eye on Coinbase as well.
So Nick Feingold was talking about this last night, actually. So they are replacing Discover Financial Services. So yeah, great one. I want to be involved in this, and I'm frustrated that I didn't even know they were up for S&P inclusion.
I didn't. Have
Well,
you ever?
clearly the market wasn't sure either.
Have you ever held any?
No.
I've never held any either, but obviously it's a proxy for the cryptocurrency market. But it's one that, you know, as you see there, it's one that's had an interesting rise since the 7th, 8th of April, and looks like we'll continue to as well, especially on the back of this inclusion.
Robinhood's another one. I don't know why I don't have these in the ISA. It's typical trader stroke investor getting frustrated at the ones that I've missed after a 15%, 18% drop and then a subsequent rally.
You can see there, the viewers can see on the chart how much it had come down from its highs there.
Oh, goodness, 50%.
It's almost back up. I mean, it's not far off where it was prior to March.
Right, good. Any other stocks we've missed? Any other opportunities? I would like to know what your best trade has been of the past month. Tell us what you closed your eyes when everybody was panicking, when we were, really in the midst of, what is going to happen to the market. I want to know what your best trade was. So drop that into the comments. I look back, I added NVIDIA at $93 into my ISA, and I haven't touched it since.
Yep.
And I think it's 18% up. I got Nike up 17%. I mean, believe me, I've got some losers in there as well that I've held for longer. Occidental Petroleum is the worst.
So my favorite has done well, the one I always talk about, is my friend Alibaba.
Oh, yeah.
$94 on the 8th of April. Viewers, I didn't invest at that point. Should have done. Traded yesterday at 134.5. So it's what, 37% increase, 38% increase. And with this new rollback on tariffs, with the China connection, with this ADR, I think it's still one to keep an eye on. We may not see 155, but it's heading in the right direction.
It certainly is, yeah. It doesn't need much more there to get it going, doesn't it? So no, let us know your best trades there. We're going to go into fast markets in a little bit. Remember my old matrix there with the earnings plotted against the PE ratio. We're going to have a look at that, and we're going to kind of update it and look at where we are. Andrew McKelvey, IAG at £2.50. That was a real opportunity.
Yeah.
I was going to put in British Airways there. IAG now £3.14. Well done. You had to take a little bit of pain. That's probably April. Yeah, April 7th, traded down to 220, even lower. But yeah, beautiful rally there. It's like a touch and go when they realise they're wrong on the runway, isn't it?
Exactly.
Good. Right. We got Gavin Ackers on MicroStrategy. Yeah, that was a great one. Must be over 300. And Boston Frank getting out of the short QQQs. Nice.
Do you think, just for the...
Got some great trades coming in there.
For the defensive trades out there, 7th and 8th of April, gold, 28.50. Went up to 3,500. I mean, that was one that was reasonably well telegraphed as well, and people got on the back of it. Yeah, that was. But it really motored throughout the month of April. It was a trade that a lot of IG clients were keen on and did well on. It's now, obviously come off from its highs, but we'll wait and see on that.
Right, Monkey Man is the wolf of Wall Street. He was trading wolf. We're going to take a look at that one. No, sorry guys, you got the wrong one up there. Yeah, we're going to take a look at that one when we come back to fast markets. We'll go through some of your stocks there. Fastly from Kieran McKenzie. So we're going to go through those, and we're going to have a look at the matrix. Join us in a couple of minutes. Poppy, who will be on the show soon as well. Poppy in Bitcoin at 75,000. That's another one with your gold, is that everything was pointing towards more constructive for those instruments, and they were down, weren't they, with the risk off?
Correct.
Baby with the bathwater.
Exactly right.
And Boise got stopped out in Nike at 53. No, that was the bottom of the swoosh. Right, we'll be back in 2 minutes, people.
BOE rate cut.
Right, welcome to Fast Markets. Tom Roberts going to take us through the UK property sector right now.
Indeed. I was just saying to Rich that the property sector feels a little bit softer at the moment. We've got the Persimmons of this world, the MJ Gleesons, Taylor Wimpey, Barrett's, and that with the potentially pending Bank of England rate cuts over the next sort of 9 months or so, how that might affect them. There was a headline out this morning, and thank you to the cheat sheet this morning from one of the brokers saying that Taylor warns of perilous threat after urging big Bank of England rate cut. So I think I'm probably just saying to the viewers, let's not forget about the property sector here in the UK. It's a big thing for the UK. The house builders are always ones that IG clients like trading. We always see popular trading in it, Persimmons, Taylor Wimpey, etc. So I might just get everyone to keep an eye on that just over the next week or so and just see how that's going. I know the property sector is struggling a little bit at the moment, especially with rates where they are. So we'll see if any more warnings come out of there.
Great. Let's have a look at the Matrix then, the good old Matrix. Good movie. But I would say we're in the top right hand, well, go as far right as you can. Okay, so we're back at 280 EPS estimate. And then go down to 21 times multiple. I'd say that's where we are right now. So numbers were so good from the Q1s that the estimates are going back up there, especially with 30% tariffs. So that's why we're at the 5,800 level. It's just a question now whether we get through the rest of earnings season and they're as good as the tech numbers were.
So 4 rate cuts on this screen here.
Well, that's wrong now. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, that's.
The current estimate of 5,586 is wrong. We've got the 5,800 give or take.
Yeah, it feels like we've
okay.
gone back up to 280. So I need to change the headers. But that was the original matrix. What do you think? Do we get 280 EPS this year?
There's a good chance. And then you see 6,100 or north of there, you're saying?
No, that's on a 22 times multiple, which I don't think is deserved.
So you think it's 21 times now?
I think we're 21 times somewhere around that 266. So I still think 5,600 is the right level. I think we're too high here.
Okay, 58.20 at the moment, 5,600, so 200 points off, basis 21 times multiple.
Yeah.
With 4 rate cuts.
No, that's wrong.
Sorry, that's wrong.
That's wrong. Because now we're on 1 or 2.
2, I think, will be the case.
Yeah. Good. Right, okay, so Angelina is going to come in. She's going to have a quick 10 minutes with Tom Roberts. And that is before we move on. Some exciting stuff coming up in the show. But, yeah, Ange is going to go through some of your great trades there. Him's up 80% in a month.
Thank you for all your feedback on the channel here. Lots of good trades we can see. So Angela and I will run through that.
Really interesting. Good stuff. We'll see you in 1. We'll do a really quick pit stop.
Where are the banks?
Hey, trader friends, welcome to the show. We're back on Fast Markets with myself and Tom Roberts. Like magic, he's managed to move seats. He's very cunning and fast.
It's musical chairs
It is
here
music-
in the studio today.
Right.
Like being back at the kids' party.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. Right, let's get us across very quickly the markets first. It's looking like a very mixed day compared to the rally we saw overnight. Right, a lot of maybe some people after yesterday, some profit taking perhaps.
I was going to say it's the morning after the night before, in effect, at that range. I mean, strong rally yesterday, lots of positivity, people going on the back of Trump's comments. I think everything's just been brought back a little bit today.
Down to
it's
earth.
not, it's not, it's certainly not down the doldrums. We're talking 0.5% off in some of the US indices. FTSE now just a little bit more positive. When Rich and I opened up this morning, 20 minutes ago, we were about down 5. We're up 12 now. DAX up a bit. Things looking, I would say, just trying to rebalance out, probably. Just sort of having a quick look. Rich and I were going through the runners and riders earlier.
Yeah,
some of the banks were down first off. I can see Lloyd's still a little bit negative, and they're down 0.4. And Barclays would be the other one that people would have a look at. They're a bit, actually they've turned positive now, 2014. So things just trying to, as I said, just trying to rebalance a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think this is healthy, isn't it? We always talk about, these crazy rapid bounce backs not being good for the markets. We like seeing some sort of, easing back to even keel, as they say.
And people taking stock of what's out there and how now, and this is for the viewers and for the traders out there, what is to come? How am I trying to place myself now for what may happen in the future?
Yeah, some of the big movers though. Let's have a look at Hanover Re there. It is down more than 3%, and let's take a look at Munich Re as well, because Munich Re also moving rapidly lower there. When I checked this morning, whilst I was watching all of you trader friends from the seat of Phil. Phil is currently in Menorca. Believe it or not, we are having better weather than Menorca. I mean, it's incredible.
Our tans will get better. Ed.
Yeah. Munich Re down 4.7%, almost 4.7%.
One, Angie, if you could bring up the chart.
Yep.
Rich and I spoke about it this morning. There was news and results in the German drug maker Bayer. Bayer. BAYG is the new mnemonic. Now, for the viewers out there, up 10.3%. I mean, that is a serious move on the back of their numbers this morning. Closed 24 euros and change last night, 24.06. We're trading 26.60 this morning. It's got to be probably, I would have thought, one of, if not the best mover in the Euro Stoxx 600. Definitely in the DAX as well, which is probably driving the DAX up. It's now up 40 points positive this morning.
Yeah, look, Bayer also not just one of the best movers, but it also confirmed its earnings outlook. Those of you trading this and like me caught it higher, just be aware it is now turning. So can you see the loss of momentum there? I'm going to zoom that in for you. This is the 1 minute chart there, people. So just be aware that when we have this big bounce, and if you haven't caught that bounce, there is always the opportunity to then play the retracement. So it is turning, and I'm watching that like a hawk there, because I think there is a move. We always like to look at gaps as well, because potentially there is a closure of gaps. That is the natural progression of things. Not all the time, but charts tend to like closing gaps. Let's have a look at the DAX as well, because the DAX is also slightly calming down after we've seen, those very rapid moves. DAX, this is the daily chart here. We're seeing a breakout there above levels seen around March. Still like the DAX, Tom? Your clients still like the DAX?
They do indeed. We follow Axel and Chris, who track this, and Axel obviously trades this daily, if not weekly. And clients still very much keen on the DAX. Let me get the sentiment here for that as well. Client sentiment on the portal at the moment in the last hour, 52% buys. Today, 51% buys. This month, 52% buys. But pretty even Stevens, 42% long, 58% short, and that's on a survey of over 500 clients here at IG.
Nice. Talking about movers as well, a lot of our clients trade drugs here. So, and we saw GlaxoSmithKline, AstraZeneca, all those big names, you know, moving lower after Trump in the previous session said he was going to move the crosshairs and, you know, take a look at drug makers, potentially cut prescription drug prices in the US, which would be bad news for the entire sector, right? But we also saw a reweighting there. If you're still trading pharma today, the one to look out for is Grifols. This is just showing you the ADR there in case you want to look ahead to that. But Grifols is the Spanish drug maker which reported results which beat expectations due to its plasma-derived business.
Up 4.5% this morning at €8.78 last traded.
Yeah. FTSE's moving slightly higher. It was flattish earlier on, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's pushed above 8,600 now. As I said, bit of a rebalance, but people are just now looking at opportunities, I think, for some of those mainline stocks to try and get in and see what opportunities are there.
Yeah.
Just having a look, BP was down. I'm not sure where they are now. I'm just keeping an eye on the oil sector as well.
Okay, BP is still down around 0.5% there.
Yeah, so they've got a little bit better. They were down at below 377. They're trading 378.5 now. I think
we've been asking people about their best,
trades. Yeah. So I was just having a quick look.
and worst trades and what they wish they went into in April. Trader friends, thank you so much for putting all your comments there. Jesse14 saying, did you say clients trade drugs or take drugs?
Very much, yeah. Trade drugs.
Trade drugs, unless there's something you haven't told us.
Trade pharmaceutical stocks that
Exactly.
make medical drugs.
Derek, I love how Derek always has these very to the point facts about you know these stocks. Munich Re, yes, suffered from the LA wildfires.
Yeah.
Did you hear that apparently now a lot of these reinsurers are not? They do not want to underwrite any sort of insurance to do with
So you
fires
can't
over
take
there.
insurance now against that.
Yeah. So taking a look further up the screen, Cam and Terence, if you can move us further up, I can tell you that gold drove me nuts in April. I know Rich had Nvidia. I already bitten enough off of Nvidia, so I left that to its own devices. But gold here, as you can see, drove me absolutely bonkers because I thought at some point there's going to be some sort of retracement, and I was going for the contrarian view, but I kept getting stopped out at the 3,230 level there, and perhaps my stop should have been a bit looser. Wizz Air,
Was the one that I know was mentioned before.
Yeah. Well done, Ashjun17, whizzing in and out of Wizz Air. If it's a bit like my Ryanair, then you would have done quite well there. Ryanair as well. R. Sachs was asking whether or not we are starting. When will we see this, weak crude price start to factor into airline prices? Well, we know airlines always hedge 3 to 6 months ahead. Oil prices have been low for some time.
Correct. And, summer season coming up, these low-cost airlines worth keeping an eye on. Anne just pointed out, Wizz Air, after President Trump announced his tariffs, 13.33 I can see there, trading 17.30 now. Ryanair, another one, EasyJet. So keep an eye on those low-cost airlines over the summer as well.
Yeah, I'm using one of them to go to Milan.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm actually quite excited because I haven't used one of them for some time, so it'd be good to.
Great city, Milan, as well.
Oh, I don't know anything about Milan. No less than nothing about Milan.
Send in some recommendations for Ange for her trip to Milan.
On that note, thank you so much for being with us, Tom.
Thank you very
Always
much.
a pleasure.
Really enjoyed it.
Maybe one day I'll see you on the cricket pitch. My kids play as well.
Yeah, the cricket will continue.
The grounds. I hear they're wonderful your way.
Teenage children
Need to be hitting a
keeping us
ball.
busy, but yeah, playing cricket, enjoying themselves, so all good.
Right, stay right there because Safe Arbor, Matt Arbor, is up with us right after this. So make sure you keep it, go and get coffee, but come straight back, keep the volume on, and we'll have Matt Arbor to answer all your vol questions after this. Hey, welcome live at Trade Desk. Everyone asking loads of questions ahead of your impending arrival.
I'm not sure I noticed that in the chat, but good link.
Lots of people wanting to know, we saw a bit of respite this morning. Markets seem to be slightly calming down.
A little bit of the froth came off from yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday and last night as well. What is it looking like for the rest of the week? Everyone's wondering whether they can breathe easy for now.
Well, I don't think we're going to get a tariff reversal for the rest of the week, so it's a sit back and digest the news, isn't it? As we've seen over the past month, that we get a sort of an extension and then a second burst as the US opens, and people are not trading all sessions coming. We get that second pop, and generally what we've seen is a little bit of a retracement the next day, and then it's the days after that where I think the tone is set properly.
You were poking fun at loads of people who were, talking about, the bounce back and everything, and you were listening to some of the best and worst trades over April and watching the chat on the outside. Is it a case of like if you could have thrown anything?
You could have chosen anything. You could have chosen anything.
And it would have.
Now some things would have performed better than others, mine, but you could have chosen anything and it would have been a good trade. It was a broad-based sell-off. And some things have taken time. There's been a lag on some things, but we've seen it from the indices themselves reflecting that. DAX back at all-time highs yesterday, all-time high close on the DAX. FTSE pushing back towards those highs. Rest of Europe similarly. US a little way to go, but yeah, as if nothing happened.
As if April was but a dream.
Indeed,
a distant dream.
And I suppose even some of the laggards from the move, interesting move last night on Coinbase. Everyone used to trade Coinbase. People have kind of stopped trading Coinbase.
It's all about MicroStrategy now, isn't it?
Yeah, but Coinbase after hours last night got announced it was being included in the S&P 500, and we saw a 10% pop in the after hours trading session last night, it's always interesting when individual names have a large move because they're joining an index. It's kind of the information you think would be quite well known.
Already baked in.
Should already be baked in. But
Yeah.
if we bring up the Coinbase chart, there's a real pop there as it goes into the index. I suppose.
There we are.
And the way to look at that, it's 10% on the news. The stock it's replacing was Discovery Financial, which didn't really move at all on it being demoted from the index. So read into that what you like. It'd be interesting to see how Coinbase continues trading today, whether that was maybe just a short covering from those who didn't know, or it's a genuine change of sentiment given, if we look at those charts, Coinbase still well off the highs seen earlier in the year.
So, yeah, that's right. The highs in early December, it's nowhere near that. Let's have a look at Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has been progressively moving higher. So it's kind of like, had a bit of a breather recently, but it has broken above, key psychological levels, starting to creep towards those highs seen. This is the weekly chart, people. Let's have a look at the daily.
It's obviously a bit of a different play these days. Coinbase used to be there. People used to trade it as a crypto proxy. Obviously, if you want that, you trade MicroStrategy these days. Coinbase exchange business. It's trading. It doesn't necessarily matter if crypto goes up or down as long as people are trading crypto.
Yeah. Could this be because there's, expectation that Bitcoin is going to add a multitude of other services? We talk about this. Tasty.
Other services. Bitcoin added. What services is Bitcoin doing for you at the moment, Ange?
Well, I am a customer of Coinbase, and just if you've used their interface, there's a lot of spare real estate, everywhere.
On Coinbase itself, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of real estate, and so and as we see,
they did buy Deribit last week, Coinbase. So,
yeah.
Adding options trading, crypto options, one assumes the idea there.
Plus, the euphoria of Bitcoin passing that 100K mark, the fact that the Trump and co are all behind, Bitcoin, maybe that's part and parcel of the move higher for, Coinbase. Let's have a look at, perhaps that could be why. I agree with you, though. It should have already been baked in.
It's an interesting piece of news that we're seeing a 10% pop on an index inclusion. Seems a little overdone to me, but shorting anything in these markets.
Are you trying to say someone must know something?
No. I'm saying it was odd that it had the pop on the news. It should have already been priced in. People should know these things. If things are being included in indexes, it's not that difficult to work out what the factors are to be included in a major index.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, lots and lots of chat here about, things that were traded, as you know, in the past month that went well, and those that didn't. For me, what didn't go well was gold, because I thought that it was going to... I did the contrarian trade. I was hoping that it would head lower since we're now at the heady highs. That didn't quite work out because I kept getting stopped out. We also have lots of people chiming in. Some people saying that they had a great time trading oil. Kieran McKenzie there saying, worth noting Coinbase's base network is the current winner for Ethereum L2s. Coinbase obviously easiest way to access that sub-platform. Yes, I am looking to also add Ethereum. The male host needs a shave.
He's quite clean shaven this morning, Boston. I can't believe it. And if this isn't a hairstyle, I don't know what is. Come on, see, it doesn't help that I've got this Mariah Carey sort of fan blowing in.
There is a Mariah Carey fan. There's also a Mariah Carey fan over there, because it's quite hot in here sometimes for Rich, and so we've got these two fans going and the door over there open because
blow through our hair.
Yeah, I grew up although I was born in the UK, I grew up in the tropics, and even this is hot for me. So that gives you an idea why he's got a Mariah Carey fan there.
So anyhow, it's interesting that it's good. It's good. It's an open environment. We can make comments about people's appearances still.
You have beautiful hair. You have beautiful hair. Speaking of which, just want to quiz you on this because I found this quite peculiar. The 72-hour rule. Whack up my screen for our trader friends to see. This was on Bloomberg, where I used to work, and apparently credit traders had this to say: credit investors and bond arrangers taking defensive measures to navigate policy bombshells from Trump and his social media account, including waiting 3 days to see if he U-turns before making trades. What do you think of this?
I kind of think if you were to back test that strategy, it's a disaster. Don't get me wrong. If you waited 72 hours after each announcement, you've missed
We've missed the boat.
both the buys and the sells.
Yeah.
A 3 day rule in a 72-hour rule. I always like to think when you're looking at down moves, that's often the case, that if you get 2 large down moves, it's often followed by a third down move. That's observable in momentum when you get into those bear markets. That tends to be the case, but that's usually not on the basis of a tweet. It's a different market dynamic when you're just reacting to announcements.
It's totally different, and even more peculiar. At the bottom of this, if you whack up my screen again, it says, others are shifting lending to tariff-proof businesses, such as tin food producers or cell phone providers, and focusing on business fundamentals. What you meant to be doing that?
Bloomberg AI, I've been reading a lot of.
Oh my goodness! I'm just like, what on earth is this talking about? It's really weird.
That's someone who's still sat in their bunker hiding from COVID writing that. I don't know.
It's really interesting. Any thoughts on that? Please bung it here. Let's have a look at the volatility. Let's have a look at the VIX briefly before we move on to currencies.
It's becoming increasingly less interesting.
Yes. I mean, look, it's just what a difference a few weeks make. We're now back to the 19s.
Yeah.
And this feeds into what we're talking about earlier on. It felt like that all that madness in April. Chris Beecham and I were talking about this yesterday. It's like, why did we do all that for again? No,
yeah.
What was the... I think it's the perma crisis. The perma crisis is what...
No hair jokes on that comment there. I can see people. I'm surprised Chris Beecham wasn't referencing a sell in May and go away.
Yeah, well, it's he does that every year.
I know,
faithfully.
So there we go.
Yeah, faithfully. But
old adages, old market adages, which like stopped clocks.
Looking at the dollar.
Well, look at the dollar resurgence in the dollar as well in this up move. We put up a dollar yen.
Dollar yen, here
dollar
we
yen,
are.
Which is like the bounce on dollar yen, back up towards the 150s. Again, it's each chart is looking pretty much the same from look back what went on in April and then we come back. But the dollar that was sort of lagging the index moves for the first part of the rally is now firmly gone back onto the bandwagon, back on with a stronger dollar, possibly helped by the fact that JP isn't budging on rates, and we go back to the rate play, and US looks slightly less prone to a recession overall, given the rollback on tariffs.
Yeah, and I think if we start seeing more and more of these trade deals, even though it's like not completely material, but the fact that they can say trade deal achieved, or reached, or we're at the bargaining table.
Well, because of course we've only seen one trade deal.
I know, right?
And that's with the behemoth that's the UK. Yeah.
Everything else is just kind of
and even then it's scraps. So what deals have we done?
Many strategists say an agreement is not a deal.
Exactly.
An agreement is not a deal.
The EU is the interesting one. That is where there is perhaps a bigger axe for the US to grind. The EU are as protectionist as the US are themselves. Both like to talk free trade, and both are not great exponents of free trade. So the tit for tat around big tech tariffs, like with the EU love fining big tech.
They do indeed. The alphabets, right?
Yeah. Even Apple and its Irish tax situation.
Just taking a look at, based on that thesis, taking a look at euro dollar as well. If the Fed, for example, right, stands pat, then I kind of think, yeah, we could see, a strengthening of the dollar. But if the Fed starts to lower rates, and at this point in time, we've also got much oil prices are super low, right? Do you think then perhaps those that are trading euro dollar could potentially see a move below 110?
Well, a move below 110 wouldn't be a surprise to anyone.
It's close to that now.
It's well within the ranges, isn't it? We've seen these moves back up. We bounced from the 107s. Of course, all the talk was approaching parity not so long ago. Again, it's in terms of rates. It seems quite apparent that the US will be easing more slowly than Europe, regardless. So the differential is still going to sit in play there. But that was kind of forgotten over the past. The past month. Again, we keep on referring to the abstract world of the past month, where
let's remind our trader friends,
the kind of the existential threat that everyone thought they were looking at, with a strange trade policy.
I never thought we'd have an existential threat because can't speak right now. Lack of coffee, monkey man. I'm still trying to cut down on my coffee. Because I just think they're not going to let the Americans not have their cheap Christmas presents.
Well, but
it's very simple. Like, they're going to be very angry Americans if they cannot get their cheap Christmas presents and Thanksgiving stuff. There's a lot of stuff being bought there, and they like it cheap.
Well, everyone likes a bargain, don't they?
Yeah.
They always like a bargain. But if we think back into the teeth of the start of April. The reason why the market fell so much is because there were no buyers out there. No one wanted such, because the potential that this was an existential crisis, that what is happening next. These were obviously crazy things, and suddenly here is a guy who said he's going to do this and he's gone through with it, and now we're believing him. And this is.
But Bessant's in the room though. Bessant's in the room.
But no one appreciated Bessant was in the room.
I mean, he was always going to, not let Trump.
But always hindsight is a wonderful thing, isn't it? It's, if you show me that you bought everything on the 7th of April, and
I didn't buy as much as I would have liked to, but I did stand pat on my current investments. I was like, why are you not unwinding?
Well, okay, but that of course is much easier to hold than it is. But there were sellers and there were very few buyers. It's an interesting one. We always look back and talked about it at the time that for months everyone wanted the chance to buy an Nvidia at $90. Nvidia was at $90 and no one wanted to buy it. Now we're back there, and everyone's like, why didn't I buy an Nvidia?
Rich bought Nvidia. I think Isar did too, and Asan, Asan. Yeah. Do you still go to the pub?
Sorry.
I've been trying to. No, I'm asking because Marston's made just a message to say, have you seen Marston's? Marston's shares apparently riding higher at the moment, up 7%. There you go.
Good Lord, Marston's.
Yeah.
Local at Oxford Brewery.
Yeah. And on track for its biggest one-day percent gain since April the 4th. I despair. We've lost about 4 pubs where I live, and it's really sad.
Well, it's one of these things, isn't it? When you buy a round of 4 and it's the best part of 30 quid.
Yeah. What happened to like £2 a pint?
Well, exactly.
How much was that again?
The sort of
£6 a pint now. £6, £7.
When was the last time you went to the pub? Go out onto Cannon Street, you're paying best part of £8 for a pint.
Oh, which pub do you go to? I go to the ones where your shoes stick to the. You must go to the posh ones.
Well, no. If you try and get some after work sunlight, they charge you a premium, don't they?
It also helps if you give cheese to the people that serve you at the Bell, right?
Well, if you're going to the Bell, you're giving cheese. They can put it to keep the rats away.
DIY, have you been doing quite a bit of DIY recently? I know that Elliot Harris has been, doing a bit of DIY, trying to kill his Death Watch beetles, and then giving up, and now just thinking, I'm just going to learn to be fond of the Death Watch beetles, because apparently it's really difficult to kill them.
Apparently so. I was going to say, that's a good segue. I was going to say there were a few DIY trades left on the London market.
But here we are.
Here we are with Wixcrew.
It is up almost 7% there. Among the top gainers on the FTSE FTSE small cap. Rather, and this is because its sales rose almost 7% year on year, and like-for-like revenue also up 5.5%. I guess during all that tumultuous, crazy roller coaster rides on the markets, people are out doing DIY.
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting on how the dynamic of DIY in the UK has changed. That the big warehouses tend to have shut down, and it's back to more like the supermarkets. This sort of cyclical play of having your convenience DIY shops and the rise of the Leyland paint centres rather than big B&Q warehouse. Obviously Homebase, the demise of Homebase took them out the market, but it's a very different play in the UK.
It is very different, and it keeps changing. We now have a Leyland as well on our high street.
Yeah,
we didn't before.
It's up everywhere in London.
Yeah. Stay with us on that note, because we have in 4 minutes' time all sessions. So stay right there. Hey, welcome back to All Sessions. We are now counting down to the All Sessions kickoff. Before that, we've got just enough time to give you a quick heads up with how the markets are looking at the moment. Just a quick snapshot at just before 9 o'clock. It's pretty much a mixed picture out there. Down, risk off for US Tech 100 and Wall Street down about 0.5%, half a percent there, and 0.3%. But Germany 40 still making gains. FTSE just in the black there. Let's have a look at the All Sessions now, because we are off, people. Trader friends, we are off, and we're seeing this rejig of sentiment this 13th of May. Let's have a quick look at some of the biggest movers there. We got Coinbase. We talked about this earlier on. Kieran McKenzie saying, yes, sure, Solana will get ETF soon. We talked about Coinbase as well with Matt Arber there, and it seems to still be galloping ahead, even though markets surely should have known. Most traders would have known about its inclusion. TerraWolf also up 2% there, and ProShares also gaining ground there. Just rejigging this change for you. Build your own watch list. I get many questions about the watch list. You can only rearrange the winners and losers if you build a watch list. Boeing also up in all sessions there. SPDR Gold shares also up 0.7%. Let's have a look at the losers now. Switching over the view, lots and lots of names that rallied in the previous session. Now looking in the red. Yesterday, we had JD.com, which was higher, but now it's down 2% there, as you can see. Plug Power also down 3.5%, but don't forget, Plug Power is one of the ones that are it's really volatile, so be careful. We're seeing that it's still an auction there. IonQ down almost 2%. This is the quantum computing stock that seems to move with Rigetti. Plug Power now uncrossed, down 3.5%. SoundHound also down 1.3%, and the drug makers, all sessions, the US ones, and also many of the companies that in the pharma sector, Jesse 14, trading pharma stocks, not taking drugs, are moving lower. So they seem to still be reacting to the news that Trump is looking to make prescription drugs potentially cheaper in the United States. Upstart also down 0.5%, and ASML, which is the chip gear maker, down 1% there. Looking at the chat, Waka Waka, good morning to you. Ready for the down move? Yes, you're a resident bear. Apparently, you and Issa would get along like a house on fire. But let's have a look at the commodities space as well. Take a look at oil there for you. Shell is pretty much flat at the moment, and BP is down 0.2%. Just checking with Cam and Terence, has Dylan called through? Because something came through my chat earlier on. It looked a bit like Dylan was calling through, but you might want to check with him. Boston Frank sound was up 22% Monday. Yeah, so this is looking like a rebalancing, right? We talked about this with Tom Roberts. It feels very much like a rebalancing is taking place here. Taking a look at also commodities, I promised this to you earlier on. We're still seeing oil moving slightly higher there. Taking a look at the chart for you. Natural gas is up 2%. So for those of you that trade natural gas, so far a good session. Let's have a look at gold as well, because gold, this really was very annoying for me in the month of April, because I kept on getting stopped out. I did the contrarian play, Waka Waka. I was with you there, not on the indices, but on gold. And I thought, you know what, we've had such a strong run, surely it would come down. It did come down, so it was the right direction, but my stop was just too close to the bottom and I got stopped out. Taking a look at the currency space as well, let's have a look at some of these crosses, because we talked about that with Matt, but we only touched on it briefly. Yen. Let's take a look at the dollar versus the yen there. And we are now seeing that the US dollar versus the yen, we are climbing towards that 150 mark, but there is data showing that enormous speculative bets could have reversals, could herald reversals, and it's important to note that this cross hasn't yet reversed half of the, I'm going to zoom out here for you, hasn't reversed half And this is the weekly view that I'm putting out for you. Maybe the monthly view might be a better one to look at. Here is a monthly view. Has not reversed half of the slide that we saw in 2025 that led specs to buy the yen. Right. Waka Waka saying, yes, indeed, I think get on really well with you. We had someone else on the chat as well talking about, Ange, go and visit, is that you, Maturin? Visit the cathedral in Milan. Thank you so much for that advice, because I do not know anything about Milan at all. I've been to Genoa, I've been to Venice, I've been to north of Italy. I've never been to Milan, so I don't know anything. I've been to Cinque Terre, so lots of Italy, never been to Milan. And I'm hoping that the weather is going to be good end of May. Right, taking a look elsewhere, because Vestas is still moving higher. How much time we got, guys, in the gallery? Terence and Cam. We got Vestas here, moving now up 10.7% there, meaning that it's now the top of the stock 600. This is a Danish wind turbine maker. Also checking out Ørsted as well. Ørsted, for those of you that watch this space, Ørsted is up 5.7%. This is because, this is the 1 minute chart I'm showing you here. Look at that reaction there. What a spike. And the reason for this, trader friends, you're asking, why, Ange, why is this, why are Vestas and Ørsted moving rapidly higher? Analysts are putting this to the draft proposals by US lawmakers looking to repeal some of the lucrative climate measures were not as bad as feared. We also have EDP Renovave. I hope I've said that correctly. Please tell me if that is not correct. This stock is up both in Portugal and also the SA, so up strongly there. And the RBC analysts say that worst case scenarios for climate measures have been avoided. Tax credits would phase down from 80% for facility placed in service during 2029 to 60% by 2030 and zero after 2031, according to proposals. Right, stay right there, because speaking of Europe, we have Dylan waiting in the wings, joining us from Milan, and he is going to be my private tour guide when I get there. But do send me all your ideas as to where I should visit in Milan in this chat, and also don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll be right back, so stay right where you are. Hey Dylan, how are you? Dylan, can you hear me? My love, can you hear me, Dylan? I can hear you, Dylan. Can you hear me? I can now. Amazing. How are you? I'm talking. Preparations, I see. We'll save it for the show, people. Hello, trader friends. Welcome back.
Angeline, I can't hear a word.
We have Dylan on the
Not
show,
a sound.
and quite soon.
Now I hear you.
Now he hears me. I was about to bring out my sock puppets. Thank goodness you can hear me now. Dylan, welcome to the show.
Now, if you could do it with sock puppets, you would demand an immediate double in salary.
I know,
immediate,
right?
On site.
Yeah, I was just re-listening to the interview that you did with Tom Sosnoff, back in February, and we had this chat as well about, Trump.
I can't hear you.
Cam, Terrence, we might have some issues because he can't hear me right now.
I can't hear a word.
We're going to try and reconnect to Dylan, so bear with us whilst I take you through some of my logistic stocks here. Trader friends, you're going to whack up my screen for them because I was going to ask Dylan about logistics, United Parcel, FedEx, Hapag, Lloyd, now that we're seeing some slight reprieve in terms of the deal between, I can't say deal, agreement between the US and China. Let's just refresh our memories whilst I try and get Dylan back on. Jugger, thank you very much. Yes, they're trying to reload the stream right now. Main parts, if we're to boil this down, tariffs on steel and aluminium reduced to 0, whilst auto tariffs for the first 100,000 vehicles, this is for the UK, shipped to the US, are cut to 10%. We are, of course, still waiting for the nitty-gritty from, with regards to the China and US. But the fact of the matter is, markets yesterday were overly relieved about the fact that an agreement had been made. Taking a look at the markets at the moment here in the UK and Germany, kind of seeing a mixed picture there. Hey, Dylan, welcome back.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. You can hear me now?
Loud and as if it was 1 meter away.
Amazing. We are having some gremlins here. Thank you very much for bearing with us. Right. So I was saying that
It was a great opportunity for you to show your remarkable grace and talent in a non-functioning situation.
Very kind of you
to great test.
Say. So I was rewatching the February interview between you and Tom, and I believe it's spoken beforehand as well. And Tom was saying that his view was that Trump had opened a huge opportunity to other countries to kind of do their own thing, right? We're going to strike out on their own now. And I disagreed because I thought, you know what, Besson's in the room, Trump might, speak and then sort it out later. But, there are adults in the room that are going to make sure that the US economy keeps chugging along and everyone has a happy Thanksgiving and continues to get good supply, cheap supply.
Right, but don't you think? But can't both of those things be true? I guess I don't see where your statement and his statement in my mind.
Yeah, both.
Can
You're right.
both be true, just only because it's a binary. It's like the barn door and the horse. That once Germany greenlights constitutional change to create a budget for a domestic military. That's, maybe if they stop funding it, I guess you can sort of slow the budget roll in terms of the implementation. Obviously, it's over 10 years. But I do think Tom's point that just the rattling of the cage from America, which, by the way, may be a good thing, to kick everybody around and say, hey, you're on your own. In terms of just the way budgets are formed, whether it's in Japan or in Korea or in Berlin or in, Rome or wherever it is, that it provokes a more dynamic budgeting of non-US systems, I think would be Tom's point.
Right. So
which just activates, it's like you're firing up your competition. It's like trash talking Michael Jordan before he plays. Like you're getting the room riled up to do, like they're following you. You're the biggest market. You're biggest currency. You're America. Why? You're going to kick everybody around and get them to try to figure out a different way to do it.
Right. Yeah,
Which I think it's
totally.
what Tom is saying, but I also think everything you're saying, I mean not only what you're saying, but I think that the market validated what you're saying weeks ago. Really, when as soon as the pause was announced, really, they're like, oh, this is a game.
Yeah. Right. High
No, this is
drama
not a real thing.
theater again. Yeah.
It took a
And
week. We're playing a game. We're going to play make a deal
yeah.
with Donald Trump.
I don't think it's art of the deal. I think it's art of the game.
It's amazing.
The perma crisis that's
Never ended. Yeah,
Exactly.
Ultimately, he's the cliffhanger. He should be doing cliffhangers in the late 70s or like chase card chases.
So
Anyway.
the cutting of the de minimis tariffs on China shipments to 54%. The fact that Shein, Pinduoduo, which is PDD, Temu, and Amazon did not immediately make any comment. Not when I checked last night anyway at 9:45, and I know that they were tapped by the big media agencies and they refused to comment. Means to me that either they're expecting things to change again, or they're going to hold fire until they see more of the details come through this week. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's not even a matter of opinion. Obvious, I think that's self-evidently true. You're dealing with the least reliable counterparty you can entertain, but at the same time, the market knows that it's also the most reliable counterparty because they know that there's going to be a deal. But to get into the timing or pricing of the deal, whatever the latest talk is inherently ephemeral.
Yeah.
But there'll be something.
So let me tell you
It
how.
won't be nothing.
Let me tell you how I'm trading this, right? So into my mind, like this is great now for transport companies. Prior to Monday, trader friends were asking me what kind of watch list am I building. So I built a transport watch list, which looked at United Parcel Service, FedEx, Hapag-Lloyd, Old Dominion Freight Line as well, because we know that these companies have been impacted before we got the news on Tuesday or Monday rather, our time, we are taking a look at Hapag-Lloyd there. We are in a they're very sensitive. They're very sensitive. Look at Hapag-Lloyd there, we are in a landscape right now.
And so how do you trade your trade that you're saying this is tariffs on, tariffs off?
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah, totally. Tariffs on, tariffs off, right? Because you never know what Trump might do, right? From minute to minute. So then you kind of think, well, where else can I find sensitivity? Where else can I find sensitivity to what he's doing? So there's one, and the other one that I look to as well is, of course, the crypto market. We've seen obviously Bitcoin.
What about the tech basket, the Amazon basket? They've got to be in there. They're sensitive, aren't they?
Yeah, they are sensitive. But the thing is, right now, what I didn't like last night, as you heard me say, is they did not come out with a statement. They did not come out with a statement. So Amazon, all sessions down 0.5%.
That stock chart is its own statement. Look at that thing. It's a chaos.
I know it is chaos. And then look at Alibaba as well. I mean, Alibaba. Whacking that up for you, down 2.3% all sessions. See what I mean? Like I was waiting for something out of these guys.
Good luck to you.
To say, but this also then underlines.
But so the transports and the crypto you're saying are more reliably sensitive to tariff on, tariff off.
Exactly at the moment, because crypto at the moment and Bitcoin seem to be moving a bit like gold. And so the sensitivity is there, whereas I don't see that in the retail space. I think that right now they're all kind of holding back, taking a breather, right? Breathing room. How are you trading? How are you trading the space at the moment?
I'm the only thing that I've had any success with so far is, again, as you know, more dollar and oil focused. And I do think tariff on, tariff off reflects as well in dollar, euro. And I think you saw that yesterday with tariff off in a big way.
Yeah.
And I think crude underperforms right now. I don't know exactly what the trade. I mean, my thing has been really selling put spreads, sometimes to success, sometimes to not success, but more of a put spread mindseted relationship with oil, only on the belief that, well, if the indication is really towards more stronger versus weaker economy, more global versus less global economy, fundamentally, oil gets stronger, especially coming off of the weakening of the spring. Those are the two lines of thinking that I've had a handle on that I can trade with. I watch, like I'm so curious about like your transport basket or your crypto basket, or I talk to Ilya and Chris every day in New York and San Francisco. And
Vecchio.
And so I'm like, how can you have a point of view on equities other than I to be long? The AI super glide, I think, is the most reliable thing to buy on.
Yeah.
And I think yesterday's performance is the best indication of that, where you're like, see, as soon as there's even a whisper of the all clear on tariff off with the China deal, whatever, the first thing that really just incinerates is megatech on AI robot future.
Totally. And we did see interesting enough. Yeah, Tesla's popped yesterday. And when I checked late our time last night, I mean, the tech mega caps had, all rallied. I mean, it was incredible.
The potential energy, and that's real. That's a lot of enterprise. I mean, it's absurd in a sense, but it's. I think it's, for me, I just look at it as a validation of the. It's like who's trying to get in when the word tariff leaves the room. What word will replace it? And I think the word that's going to come back and replace the word tariff is going to be AI.
Yeah.
For the summer.
For the summer, totally. And I kind of think in that space as well, trying to hedge my bets.
It's going to be GPT on the beach. It's going to be a beach summer with GPT. Everybody's going to have a GPT boyfriend, GPT girlfriend.
Yeah,
all this.
Claudine.
All of it.
Yeah.
It's going to be a weird thing.
So the other cool thing there is you also see sensitivity in that space. I mean, if you've bitten off more than you can chew in the AI space and the chip space I have, so I'm kind of like leaving that for now. I've also got a power data center watch list, right? So the GE Vernovas, the Constellation, the Next Era, the New Scale Power Corporation, because we all need, with all this AI, we are going to need extra processing data center power. So that is the space that I am looking at the moment, where it has a lot of sensitivity. JB Hunt, thank you very much. We have a viewer that's just chimed in saying that JB Hunt is a good one to add. Thank you very much, R. Sachs, in the transport logistics space. It'd be interesting to see. I'm now trying to line up loads of current data, to show me whether your ports are starting to flow again with, I believe it's right now, end of May is when all the stuff has to come in and start coming in readiness for stocking up for your Thanksgiving and Christmas end of this year. In the US.
I mean, for sure. I mean, they like to run let's call it a 6-month inventory cycle, basically, is what that's saying. I do think that they're really trying to compress it to 3 months because of all the reasons you obviously, but historically, for sure, it's a 6-month inventory cycle, and this is the month. I think it's increasingly less relevant. Just because I think that they're moving to the efficiency of being able to hit a 3-month cycle, even from the factory order through the logistics to the stocking. You see it we can see it because, especially in Europe, where the luxury business, where the big brands, the CEO of Moncler came out in Italy recently and said, we're not a fashion business, we're a media company. And we publish a new wave of content on the 1st of every month. We don't do 4 seasons of fashion.
No.
We do a new slate on the 1st of every month.
Yeah.
All the stores, all the social, all the programming, physical and otherwise. It's a media business.
Yeah, and
and the factory and the product is content.
Yeah, and it makes sense, right? With climates changing around the world. They were the ones that came up with from catwalk to shop within like 2 weeks.
Whatever, right? Well, that's Zara, right? Zara, that's the sort of the political scandal for the sort of environmental abuse associated with hyper efficient fast fashion. What in the context of the tariffs in the market, I believe that the inventory cycle is more porous than it was even 5 years ago. COVID, technology, so. Anyway, but better to make a deal. Who needs the trouble?
Totally.
I mean, it's going to be a bunch of stress moving boats in the summer.
Yeah.
Who needs it?
Yeah, who needs it?
Do it
We all want to be on the beach, like producer
Could
Phil.
take
Right
it. We got a date with ChatGPT and an umbrella.
Yeah. By the way, I'm heading to Milan. We've already had loads of people, coming up with chats, and Dylan is going to look after me, then give me lots of handy tips because I
We're
don't.
going to give it
Don't know anything about
the
Milan.
best walks. We're
Do
going to take you to Da
they
Vinci's
still
parlor.
charge you to kind of be on the beaches in Italy? Do they still do that?
I don't think I appreciated the tone of that question. I felt like it was at a pretext of negative expectation. That was inappropriate.
I was just teasing you.
Yeah.
I was quite taken aback when I first went up to Cinque Terre, and they said, no, you the beach is here. You have to pay to go on the beach, which I found really kind of bizarre because there are so many beautiful beaches there.
Never again. Never again. Never think that won't happen to you again. We got to find a better beach.
And
We'll figure it out.
For those of you that don't know, Dylan, of course, is a big name in the fashion space, especially in shoes. I'm going to put that in our chat as well if you want to, buy his shoes, which are like art, really. But that brings us to luxury stocks. We saw this huge bounce after the news between China and the US, the agreement, shall we call it? And we saw the Hermes, the Kerings, the LVMH. You talked about Moncler earlier, Swatch. Across the board, we saw this bounce, and we're still seeing that bounce today. Which are the brands that you like, Dylan? I like to stay very high in times of uncertainty. Stay with the premium, the super premium of this end. So the Richemont and the Hermes are the two stocks that I have exposure to.
Yeah, I mean, this is really just risk on, risk off, right? At the end of the day, I mean, it's interesting to try to. I don't know that I would be willing to have an opinion of management at those other entities in terms of LVMH versus any of these names. I mean, Gucci blew up, obviously. There's the problem with these companies, as an owner of a smaller version of one of them is, it's like a movie studio. Things hit and they run, or they bust and they don't. Even at the highest level, even Disney can blow up on a bad movie, because it's such a big budget. You see it happen with these big brands. But to the degree to which it's a risk on, I would look at buying the luxury stocks the same way I would look at buying the transport stocks or crypto. It's a risk, tariff on, tariff off.
Speaking of that, did you manage to catch, I believe it was last night, when Nick Batista and Tom, and I think Rich was also on there taking the piss out of, the upcoming event. Did you manage to catch it last night? Rich was asking.
Didn't catch any of that.
Oh, man, it was great. It was great.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Those Twitter friends, if you haven't, if you're on Twitter, I also urge you to look at the Trade Live with IG and also the Tasty live show Twitter site, because there's a poll on right now. If you come off my screen, I'll try and find it for you, about who should ring the bell. Should it be Rich? Should it be Dylan? Who should Tom get to ring the bell in Milan? Have you seen that, Dylan?
I'm not familiar with this. And
You should, when they're ribbing you on, I'll give it a heads up next time.
Please, I mean, you got to give me some advance warning if
I mean,
there's some.
I get advance
if
warning
there's
when
some-
you and Tom talk about me on your shows. That's how I found the
I
February.
want to know why you're not part of the programming. That's I want to bring that up
I
with
get
somebody.
special privileges. I get to, rest, and I need my rest to do the rest of the good work that
Is
I
that
do
what
here.
it is?
Yeah, that is what it is. That
Okay.
is what it is. But I'm trying to find that for you here. For those of you that are going to be in Milan, make sure that you. I know some of you was telling me not an excuse to say that your passport has yet to be renewed, because I have just tested the UK system post Brexit for the renewal of British passports. It's very quick, as long as you pay twice the amount. I think it's gone up to like 90 quid now. So you can still make it to
I mean, these
Milan.
British are collecting money every time you say their name, these people.
So are the
You can't go-
Europeans.
Listen, you can't get, no. The Europeans are friendly, nice people. These British, you guys, I got tolls every time I try to get in and out of that place. You're going to take $20 off of me. So what's a racket. This whole Brexit thing is a racket.
I think the Europeans would have done it, just that the French can't get their border control up in time. That's why. That is why. So
Okay,
I'm just
you do
showing
your
you,
people proud.
whacking up my chart here for you, just showing that and trying to. So Tony Batista saying, who do you think Tom Sosnov will give the promised ring to in Milan on the 23rd of June? Rich on macro or Dylan Rattigan? And there is a poll there. Currently, Dylan, you're at 68 points. You're looking good, mate. You're looking good. Rich is at 31%.
All right. Well, we just got to let it play out. These things move around. It's a volatile. How many votes?
Yeah.
One vote can really make a big difference.
Batista's got it coming to him. He's really good at stirring the pot, isn't he? Stirring.
Especially when he takes the day off. I mean, I had to fill in for him
did you?
yesterday, and now I know why.
Yeah.
Because he was home tweeting things like this.
Okay. All I'm saying is, Dylan, don't ruin my party. Yeah. I am not voting on this because, I'm not going to play favorites here. I love you
listen,
and
you're
Rich
on another level, babe.
equally.
This is a different level.
I will give you a heads up every time I see something come out now. Right. Trader friends, any questions for Dylan?
You get the full Italian. You get the lady
The red
of
carpet.
London
The red
treatment.
carpet.
Yeah.
Right. Those of you that have
Three
more
beaches.
questions for Dylan and myself, don't forget to put it on Ask at IG or slam it here onto our comments page, and we will get them asked to Dylan. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. Get us on our way to a bell. Maybe the stock exchange over your side will sponsor us for a brand new bell, or I'll reach out to the SIBO people as well.
I think we
Dylan?
got to get the Milan Stock Exchange involved. We need more Italians in the room.
We do need more Italians. Dylan, always a pleasure. What's the rest of your day looking like?
It's nothing but Italians as far as I can see.
Right. On that note, we will catch you offline, and stay where you are, because we have a special treat, a new guest. Hugo will be with Rich right after this.
Welcome back, people. Oh, welcome back to Hugo. It seems like I am a ghost.
Don't leave me on my
What have they done there? Right, some technical. Hopefully, if you can hear me. There we go. Maybe it's better without, actually, Hugo.
Yeah, no, just
Was that you? Did you set that up? So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Hugo Ward, the CEO of Cuckoo Creative, and a very good friend of mine. And I've been dying to get him into the show, and he's made some time in his diary. Welcome, sir.
Good to be here, Rich. Good to be here.
So we've got so much to go through, but I think, well, first of all, how did we meet?
We met because I moved into this space. So my background, as you know, is a documentary maker, filmmaker, journalist, and I was at The Economist. I set up a film unit within The Economist. I'd made documentaries for a lot of British TV, Channel 4, BBC.
Was it Dispatches?
Channel 4 Dispatches I did for many years, so a lot of investigative journalism. And then I left The Economist and I went to work for another trading company. We won't mention their name. And then I started getting into this world and I found it fascinating. And then I kind of came across you on Instagram and basically got you into this line of work.
That's
right?
exactly it. I'd never been in front of a camera before, going back to the athletics days, maybe, back to my dating show, but had never done it for finance. And Hugo, sort of talked me into it. And here we are.
Here we are.
Who would have
3 years
thought?
later?
That's right. Yeah. So take us back. So we're going to chat about investments in a minute, and really having worked at The Economist, having worked at another investment firm. Was it something you studied at school?
No, I had no idea. I didn't have. It's funny because I look at all of my mates who ended up going into finance, and they had a lot of influence from parents or usually dads in that world, and I didn't have any of that.
Yeah.
I was English, and I enjoyed that side as creative brain. But when it came to finance, I had no idea at all. I mean, zero understanding of finance.
Right. And then, so what was your passion then?
My passion was journalism, geopolitics. I really, I looked at a Michael Palin documentary when I was about 12 years old, and I was like, oh my God, when he was traveling around the world with Michael Palin in 80 days. And I was like, that's what I want to do. And I love travel. I love geopolitics.
Yeah.
I love people and telling people stories. So, and that's what I ultimately got into and made documentaries in, 30 different countries around the world. So I've been very lucky, had a great career just traveling the world and doing fun things and telling people stories.
And your stories are the reason why our phone calls are usually about 45 minutes long.
Can't help it.
It's
Nor can
perfect.
you.
Hugo usually calls me when he's out with his dog. And I think, oh, well, I may as well just go for a walk as well. So go for a walk around the block, knowing that it's gonna be a long one.
Yeah, no, it's enjoyable, and that's what life's about.
Exactly.
And that's what investing is about. It's stories for me.
Yeah.
And I knew nothing about investing, and then I think I got to the age of late 20s, and my older brother said to me, mate, you're 27 and you know nothing, you haven't got any savings and you're doing nothing. I was like, oh God. So he sent me a book called The Richest Man in Babylon.
Right.
And have you ever come across it?
No.
It's an ancient Greek book written years ago and translated throughout the years, but it's the principles of money. It's a very thin book, so you'll read it very quickly, or it might take you a while, Rich. But
very good. There we go. Right, if we get that up on the screen.
It was a book that's like just the fundamentals of money and how money works. And my brother sent it to me knowing that I was a complete moron and I needed a bit of educating.
Right.
And then by the age of 30, I'd moved back from Australia in London. A mate of mine was a financial advisor. And he said, you've got to start paying into a pension. You've got to start investing. So I started putting 500 quid a month into a savings plan with him. And then it wasn't until I think lockdown that I thought, okay, I've got a bit of a pension here.
That recently?
It wasn't until lockdown where, I was putting money aside, but it wasn't until lockdown COVID that I was like, oh God, I've really got to educate myself here.
Okay.
And fortunately, I had people around me who did work in the financial sector and could give me a bit of an education at that point.
Yeah.
The thing is, I was also working at The Economist. It's quite embarrassing. I didn't really understand any of this stuff.
So we won't tell anyone.
Yeah. But I was doing films about all sorts of stuff. I mean, not that The Economist specialises purely in the markets. It doesn't.
But you were responsible for setting up the digital side of The Economist, weren't you?
Me and a team of people. We set up the film unit within The Economist, and then podcast came along, and that was 2015. And then
Fantastic.
good fun. And we grew the YouTube channel from 0 to 3.5 million subscribers
Wow.
to The Economist. So yeah, it's a big channel. It's an amazing brand.
I'll have to ask you for some tips on our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Now, so what happened during lockdown then? What was your investment journey? Because we've heard a few.
I realised that people had time on their hands. I had friends of mine who started trading and started doing really well.
Yeah.
So I went on the App Store, looked at trading apps. Which one did I pick? Happens to be IG, because it's the only one I'd really heard of because of brand and cricket. And so I downloaded the app and I started trading, not really knowing what I was doing at all. And then I quickly realised that trading kind of wasn't for me. But what I did find fascinating was the fact that the majority of my wealth is in pensions. And then I was like, what? Like, I don't know what this money's doing. It's sitting there and there's a substantial amount and I have no idea whether it's in the right pot, what we're doing. And that just scared me. I just thought, I've got a family, I've got kids. I really should understand this. We spend all of our lives, all of our waking hours at work, making this money to put aside as a nest egg, in pensions, in ISAs. And then the thing is, I don't know what it's doing.
Exactly.
And I just thought, it's got to change. I've got to start educating myself.
And there's so much of that out there. And that's one of the main reasons, the main aims of this channel is to not just chat about, what's going on at 8 a.m. on the open, in and out of British Airways or something like that, but to educate people on their options and their pensions, on, are you just in an S&P tracker now? Are you in a world tracker? So where did that take you to where you are now?
Well, I went on a bit of a journey, and you've actually helped me a little bit with this, Rich. But when I started, I just thought, who do I know who really understands the markets? And it turns out that a lot of people who work in finance don't really understand the market. That was a big education for me. I was like, wow, because you get people who are financial advisors, they don't understand the markets. And what I realised is a lot of stockbrokers, for example, they don't really understand the markets. What they're very, very good at is saying, being tax efficient, understanding inheritance tax, what you do here, so they're brilliant at the kind of the planning, the technicals of that. But when it comes to the markets and understanding, how to make money on the markets, they don't really understand it in the way that a trader would, or somebody who really analyzes the markets.
This is what I learned very early on, was that I think your approach was, okay, if I need a lawyer, I go to somebody who's an expert in law and I trust what they say.
Yeah.
And a doctor, the same. If you want to get a good investment, I saw that you believed, okay, well, my friends that are investment bankers or stockbrokers, they will know the investment and therefore whatever they say, I'll put the money into. And markets just aren't like that, are they? Sometimes it works, but just as often it doesn't.
It's a bit like, it's like, just put a bit in there, put a bit in there, put a bit in there.
Yeah.
Because they're set up to kind of manage risk rather than really understanding what's happening on the markets and the long-term outlook. So what I learned very quickly is, I don't really care for the technicals. I'm just like, what, my brain doesn't work like that. I can't be bothered. It's too much and I'm too old and I just don't want to do that. What I do find fascinating is the fundamentals, is looking at the geopolitics, understanding what's happening. And I find that I get a real buzz. So I could, and I have made films on the subject, half the time you're better off just putting it in an S&P tracker and leaving it. The fact is, that's a bit dull and a bit boring and I don't get excitement.
It's very vanilla.
It's very vanilla, and I could just, cut my losses and think actually that's a pretty safe way of investing, but I don't want to. And actually, I really enjoy seeing things that are happening or catching something in my periphery and thinking, ooh, that's quite interesting.
Yeah.
And then it's learning to trust what I've seen and what I think could happen, because what I've learned is even though I know nothing about the markets or I'm not in this world, nor does anyone else. And that is the biggest learning I've taken.
Absolutely.
Like, yes, there are people I go to who really understand metals or precious metals, or and they know that market inside. And I'm never going to understand that market, so I'll just ask them what their thoughts are, and they'll share, what they think, and I'll choose to follow that or not.
Yeah.
But the truth is that nobody knows, and I get a massive kick out of telling my mates in finance that actually I've seen something and I think this is going to happen, and they go, yeah, whatever, mate. And then I do it, in a safe way, not betting the house on it, but and then I find that 6 months later I'm like, remember I said that? Well, look,
And so what you're talking about is a diversified portfolio, and some in the geopolitics, ideas that you're talking about, some in metals that you've heard about. I know Cameco was a huge winner for you, and some trackers.
Yeah.
But just mainly diversified, because that
crypto.
softens the blow. And crypto, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that, and tell us who you've worked with on that side of things as well.
I did a lot of work for CoinMarketCap, which is a big data platform.
Yeah.
Now owned by Binance. So it's quite interesting because you're working with all these people at the coal face of the data of crypto.
Really?
That was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Their salaries, are one thing. What they make on the markets, crypto markets, because of course they see all of the data on
and the information. Yeah.
And they have all the data on meme coins. And meme coins has been the Wild West. I mean, I'm just not. I don't have the time or the brain span. But these young kids working at CoinMarketCap are doing very well because they see all the data.
And I think that's why we know it's really hard for us on the outside, because we have no idea. So that's probably why they're so dangerous, is because there's people that really know what's going on. But as a space as a whole, it's really interesting, isn't it? And
I've enjoyed it. I mean, I've definitely. I think I learned a lot through crypto about group psychology, FOMO, and then there was a lot that I didn't understand about crypto, and the only reason I got into it is because somebody told me 2013, a friend of mine, an American friend of mine, said, he's tried to explain it to me, and I looked at him blankly going, mate, I have no idea what you're talking about. I really do not understand this. And then I saw him again in 2017 in Bermuda for the America's Cup, and he was like, Hugo, please just start investing.
Wow.
And I did. I put in a small amount, and that small amount did me quite well. And then I was like, wow. But then my whole journey in crypto is like, as soon as there was a bit of hype around crypto, I piled in at the top of the market. Then there was a crash for 3 years, and I was like, oh, this is rubbish. Then there's hype. Then I invested again. So what am I doing? And then I understood the patterns, and then
the hype cycle.
The hype cycle. And I, being a moron and not wanting to miss out, I just went in on the hype every time. And now I look at it and think, I've got to stop doing that. But do I? No. But the fact is, I think
you've tapered it a little.
I've tapered it a little, but I think, if that's 5% of my portfolio, then, and again, and this is, so my mates who work in finance go, still a lot of them are going, oh, you don't crypto, I can't get into crypto because I don't understand it. And actually, they have something to lose because they work in a financial, in a financial sector.
Yeah.
And actually, if crypto were to really gain traction, they have something to lose. So intrinsically, I think there's a bias. And their argument to me is, I can't invest in crypto because I don't understand it. And my argument back to them is, I don't really understand the markets, but who understands the markets? But we all invest in it.
Right. And especially when it's 5% of your overall wealth.
Yeah.
Then it's it's manageable, and it leads into that sort of diversified idea that we talk about. What would you, just come back to the hype cycle, what would you say to the people at home that are maybe younger than ourselves? What would be the learning?
I'm younger than you, Rich.
Yeah, by about 6 months. yeah, what would be the learning from avoiding buying into the hype when it's, you know, when it's really peak and when things have already moved?
You know, a lot of people when I was working at The Economist used to say, if you read it in The Economist, it's already too late. And you know, The Economist isn't about the markets, it's about global trends.
Yeah.
What I would say is, in my experience, is listen, I'm not a technicals guy, I'm not a trader, but I really enjoy looking at global trends. Obviously, AI, you can't avoid it. But I think there are lots of trends that are happening in the world now. And I think future gazing is what I find fascinating.
Yeah.
And that's what The Economist was very, very good at, is very, very good at. It's looking into the future and looking at future trends. So it's not the markets happening now, but it's like, what are the things that are going to happen? And if this takes over, then what's that going to mean for future investments? You know, driverless cars, going to be a big thing. You know, satellites. I find it fascinating. You look in the Black Sea and you see China and Russia quite clearly cutting cables, and this is a big problem, because if this starts happening in the Atlantic, what's it going to mean for the markets? What's it going to mean for satellites? And so these are the things that I find really interesting, and I think actually I'm willing to take a bit of a punt, future gazing about what's going to happen in the future. And I think actually if I go in now when nobody's talking about it with small amounts, I find that fascinating, because if the worst case scenario happens and all of a sudden there are attacks, you know, on cables in the Atlantic, then what does that mean, for example? So to young people, I just think, don't do what everyone does and you will have to do it and you'll learn. It's like, do not get in on the hype. If you're seeing it on the news, you're already too late. There are lots of people who will have got in before you and the market will have factored that in. But it's actually taking a longer term view.
And when our mothers ask us about it, that's usually a surefire warning. I guess if we dip into your personal portfolio, well, I'll tell you what, first of all, does anybody have any questions? Monkey Man says, I bet Bitcoin will not be 5% of your portfolio in 10 years.
Let's hope not. Let's hope it means it's 50%. And you know what? This is the other thing, right? So you look at, and it probably is actually a bit more than that now. So I look at my kids, and I've got an 11-year-old and a 9-year-old.
Go on, give them a shout out quick.
Dasher and Arthur, hello, Daddy's on the telly. So I was like, what do I do now? Because I haven't set up a trust and I haven't done this stuff, and so I could put money in and think into a pension for them now. Put $5,000 by the time they're 60. Crikey, that'd be. Or I could set up. I haven't done any of this stuff. I've been a bit slow off the mark. But then I'm thinking, why don't I just put $5,000 for each of them? You know, if I can squirrel that away, and that's my nest egg for them, in the hope that it might turn into something. Because the upsides could be far, far, far greater than a traditional investment.
Yeah.
But equally, you know.
Yeah, equally it could go to zero just for the.
But of course it could.
Now, business-wise, so get your questions in. Any questions there for Hugo? We will be very happy to answer them. But you have your own digital agency, Cuckoo Creative, but you've now expanded into something else, haven't you?
Yeah. So we're launching something on the side. I think we have a big problem in society, in that younger people, we're telling them a lie. We're telling young people that you go to school, you work hard, you go to university, you come out, you'll get a good job. It's not panning out like that. Have you looked at the job numbers in the UK recently, or the unemployment numbers? There aren't the vacancies. AI is going to transform the working world, and the education system is so far behind. So I've set up something called LFG, or Let's Fearlessly Go, and it's giving young people an education. It's a course, video-led course, which is funky and very cool, that gives them an education in how to get a job, how to understand what their values are, how to create an elevator pitch, all about networking. Why didn't anyone tell me about networking? I thought the networking was having to go to events and go, oh, this is awkward, and give people business cards. That's not the way. So how to use LinkedIn, how to do your personal brand, how to understand jobs keywords, algorithms. So you see on the BBC, I saw the other day, this girl saying, I've applied for 200 jobs and I haven't even heard back from any of them. And I'm like, you know what? And I feel so sorry for her. And it's because actually the algorithms are turning you down and you don't understand. Nobody's told you how to play with it, how to do it.
Yeah.
Also, so many kids are coming through and they're lacking soft skills. So this is a 17-part module, which basically gives young people leaving school or university the education they need to thrive and to understand how to get into the workplace.
Fantastic.
Because I really think this education is lacking, and I think schools and universities are so far behind the curve when it comes to what young people need to get a job.
Now, anybody at home, maybe with a son or daughter that are, school age or going into university, how did he find you?
www.letsfearlesslygo.com and on Insta as well and LinkedIn. So give us a follow. So we are officially launching in 10 days' time, and there's a waiting list for that. But listen, there are lots of things going on, and this journey's been really interesting. Speaking to people who, we talk about risk, right? This is an interesting one. We are, get your head around this, the first generation in human history not to allow our children risk. We don't let them out of our sight. We're helicopter parenting, and this is a really sad state of affairs. So what's that going to mean for the future of investing?
That's scary, isn't it? That is a great way to finish off today's show. Hugo, it's been an absolute pleasure having you in.
Thanks for having me.
And also thanks again for getting me in the seat. Good stuff. Right, we will be back tomorrow. We've got a packed show, so join us. Just before we go, give us a like on the YouTube. Give us a subscribe if you don't already. Have a wonderful day. Remember, CPI at 1:30 US, 1:30 London time. Let's see how the market carries on from that rally yesterday. Have a fantastic day. Peace.